Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Creative Craft Hour sponsored by Deuxieme Vie Creative, a creative reuse store located in downtown Lafayette on Jefferson Street. Today we are going to just be having fun and making some art with really no end product in mind, and just allowing you to be creative. I'm just going to give you some directions. If you want to follow them, fine. If you don't, if you just want to do whatever you want to do, that's great too. So I'm gonna go through some of the materials for today. So if you need some time to collect your things before we get started, you can go ahead and do that. So today's exercise is mark making. We are using this as just kind of a way to let your mind be free and make patterns on your paper or material that you choose to use. I have collected some old file folders to use as my quote unquote paper. I've also got, and this is just stuff I found around my house, and these same kind of things, you can find them at Deuxieme Vie too, which is really great in the shop to go check out and see what kind of materials are available. This is just like a blue computer paper that we've had for forever at our house. And also I had some envelopes that maybe I'll paint the front of and send to a friend to say hello during this maybe short-lived, maybe long-lived time of quarantine. I've also got some different paints to use in our mark making. You can use any color you want. Whatever you have available is fine. This is like some color sample paint. And I've got a black and white in there too. Also got some paint brushes, different size paint brushes. Gonna see what kind of marks those are gonna make. Being open to just experimenting and see what kind of marks we can make and what patterns emerge. And then I've got some kind of unusual objects. I've got some plastic forks. See if we can maybe make some lines with that, and clothespins to experiment with, as well as a plastic spoon. And I always bring a cup of water for my paint, as well as a paint tray. And I just use like a old, I think this probably had some kind of deli meat in it maybe at some point. And then I usually have a paint rag of some sort. This is an old tank top that's all used up. So I use that as a paint cloth. But you can use whatever you like, paper towel, old rag, whatever. I also, before we get started, would like to encourage you to tag us at 2EV Creative on Facebook and Instagram with your wonderful mark making creations that you make today. We'd love to see what you come up with and what your creativity shows up on the paper, how that shows up for you. That'd be awesome. And also, make art not waste is something, a hashtag we use. Tag us on that too. And we are a nonprofit. Well, welcome back to the Creative Hour with Deuxieme Vie. Thank you for your patience as we're navigating technology, which is always a fun learning experience for everybody. So right now I'm exploring just painting lines on my page of my choice. So you get to decide if you want to do small lines, large lines, which direction they go, and just fill up your whole page with as many lines as possible, like just one layer of lines. And we're gonna explore that, what happens with that in your creative process. Are you using a certain kind of paintbrush. All of my lines are going up and down, and I kind of have them staggered. But you can put them any way you want. Are yours diagonal? Do they go a different way on the page? Are they all one color? Do you change colors? The possibilities are just endless. And this is just a fun exercise for you to do. If you're happy with what comes out of it, or if you just want to show us what you did, we would love to see it. You can tag us at Deuxieme Vie Creative on Facebook and Instagram. But this can also just be for you too. So feel free to just go with whatever your gut tells you to mark on the page. And if you filled up the first page, you're going to do another one. So you have at least 5 pages to do different marks on it. Like, do I want to even do the whole page? I kind of like this as half a page. And it's fun to kind of notice the way you do mark making. As you do more and more of these pages, sometimes a pattern will emerge. And then you can look at that pattern and see if that's something you want to keep doing, if that's like a stylistic choice you want to maintain, or if that is something you want to make a conscious choice to change. And a lot of these creative hours, we're encouraging you to use your materials from home, use what you have at home. But I do like to remind people that you can always check the online store at Deuxieme Vie. We have lots and lots of materials, paint and different types of papers and brushes and all kinds of creative treasures that you can explore in your own creativity. And so we have the online store, and you can also make an appointment to privately shop the store. We provide a space where we don't have a lot of people in the store at one time. It's one person at a time, or if you have a family, you can do your whole family that's living together. And come see all of the materials we have that you can use, and maybe take some home. Ooh, so close, almost to the end of my first page. I think I'm gonna do one more row just to finish it out, so it looks complete to me. Okay, so this is what my first page looks like. She's covered in lines. And so next, I'm gonna maybe put this somewhere safe to dry. So for my next one, I'm going to maybe get a different material. I have these file folders, these old file folders from home. We have a retired teacher in the house, so there's always lots of fun school supplies that aren't really being used anymore. And in lots of great colors. So I'm going to paint some lines on the front of this file folder. And I think I'm going to use a different brush this time. And I'm going to doing lines again if you want to follow along with us. But I'm going to do maybe a squiggle line this time. I'm using a smaller paintbrush this time, so I have to dip it in the paint a little bit more. I just love the width I get from it, so that's why I love this paintbrush. And I'm really curious to know if any of y'all have ever been to Deuxieme Vie Creative before. The store in Lafayette on Jefferson Street, or if you have been to a creative hour before that we've hosted, and how did you hear about us? I'm always super curious to know the kind of like the path that got you here. So if you want to comment or shoot us a message and tell us how you found out about this, that would be so awesome. We love to hear from you. And this is kind of like a weekly event that we host, a free weekly event. And we're always looking for new ideas. So if there's something that you want to explore for next week or down the road, send us a message and tell us what it is. Do a bigger one this time. These squiggle lines remind me of snakes and remind me of an artist, a pottery artist that was very, I guess, around a lot when I was younger. Miss Tanya Schultz. She had a lot of fun snake imagery in her pottery, as well as other animals. But those shapes kind of remind me of her. Okay. Maybe one more at the bottom to finish it out. And your lines can be as polished or as wild and free as you'd like them to be. It is completely up to you. And I'm really enjoying this kind of whimsy color palette of yellow and pink. Very fun. Fun and vibrant colors. But I've seen people just do black and white. I've seen people do all kinds of colors. I even have, I know some artists that pick their color palette based on what's available, what's reusable, what kind of paint people are getting rid of. Shout out to Chris at the hallway. So this is my second one. Some curvy lines on it. Okay. And then, so let's just do, see if we can get some lines with this. Something like that. Just taking this brush, not putting it in any water, keeping it dry, dry brushing. Maybe from the bottom. So you get lines. It generates this kind of, call it, kind of rough texture. And then do I want to go back over it or just leave it how it is? I kind of like it a little bit darker. Page moved on me, but that's all right. Cool. Okay, so that's my third one. Just to show you, it can be a quick kind of sketch or creation. It doesn't have to be super involved. Well, let's see. I'm gonna pick another color. So I'm gonna go with this lovely kind of taupe brown. I'm gonna put it in my paint tray. And you can mix colors together, go for it. And I'm gonna use another size paintbrush again. And this time I'm gonna go around the outside. Do little dashes, do longer lines if you want. And I was experimenting when I was getting ready yesterday. I was experimenting with this process, and I noticed these make really fun, like I use them for like backings for business cards, but also fun like tags, or they just add like a really fun texture to stuff. So there are possibilities for you to use this for stuff, but you don't have to. There's a lot of value in mark making and seeing what comes up and just seeing how like the colors and marks kind of respond to each other. I think that's really cool too. I really like how these marks right here have like a trail to them. They look like little speed demons or something. Really cool. Okay. Let's do the red one. And right now I'm kind of getting stuck on what mark to make. So that's why these exercises are really great. They kind of help you just go for it. So I'm just going to do big stripes all the way down. And I find myself trying to fill them in, but I really enjoy these areas where the brush will come up a little bit and you'll have a little bit of paint and then it'll come back down and be really thick. I think that looks really nice too. Okay, so I have 5. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the next exercise that you can decide if you want to do or not. And that is doing 5 pages of circles. So that can be circles, polka dot, anything with a circular object to it. All right. Maybe start with just some big polka dots. Just letting these be kind of messy, letting the edges of the brush kind of generate this texture for them, which I think is kind of fun. And you can see they kind of were trying to be more circular at the beginning and then they got kind of wild at the end. So that's a fun observation. I'm gonna use this manila one. Do you put your dots really close together? Do you put them really far apart? Is there just one dot on the page? There's so many different ways, so many different creative decisions you can make when you're creating art, that it's fun to give yourself space and time to like explore them. I think a lot of times we get really caught up in the busyness of life and we don't give ourselves time to explore stuff without having any expectations of what it's supposed to look like. So kudos to you to having some fun today and giving yourself space to just experiment. And we're using paint in these exercises, but if you don't have paint at home, you can use markers or crayons or colored pencil or even a pen. You can use lots of things and do these same exercises in mark making. So that one's just kind of polka dot. Let's try just a blue paper. And I'm going to use a different brush this time because I'm going to do some circles that don't have a middle, also known as a donut. And this time I'm going to start in the middle. And these are kind of rough. Kind of looks like a face, huh? And as I'm making this, I just noticed I made one big one in the middle and then a bunch of little ones. And that's just an interesting observation. Like, do I put even tinier ones in there? Tiny ones. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever you want to do. Okay. What about using this dry brush to make a big circle? And I could make some that go on top of it. Like that. Like that. Something like that. The possibilities are literally endless. Another thing that can be fun to do is maybe like dots with the back of your paintbrush. So this part where it's rounded, you can use that to make dots too. Make sure I got a good amount of paint in there. Do some tiny dots. These kind of remind me of the dots people make when they're making the mandalas. I'm sure they have many fancy tools to make those beautiful works of art. But it seems like I'm getting the same effect with just the back of my paintbrush, which is awesome learning for me. Sometimes creative hour experimentation leads to new ways of learning to create for maybe a different project you want to do, or pursue in a, I would say, more professional manner or serious manner, or maybe like an art project for school. So sometimes just allowing yourself the space to create can lead to a new way of doing things for you, which is super awesome. Because I probably would have never explored this if we didn't have this time together. So thank you for being here. This also kind of reminds me of like bumpy dinosaur or reptile skin. It's like a textured thing. And my instinct is to go in and fill it in more, but I'm just going to let it be. Because it's great just the way it is. So there's that one with just a bunch of little dots all over it. One, two, three. Okay, so I have 5 of the line drawings, 5 explorations of line drawings, and 5 explorations of circle drawings. So for the next 5 pieces that I'm going to make, I'm going to encourage you to make these pieces with your unusual materials. So I have these plastic forks that I was going to use maybe to make lines or draw with, and a spoon, same thing. And then I have these little clothespins. So you can explore with the next 5 or just make 5 more of whatever you're enjoying. Maybe I'll use green this time. Good old swamp green. I've seen people using spatulas before, using the edge of the spatula to make a line, using the back of a spatula to make the dots, kind of like what we did with the paintbrush. I'm really curious to see if you have any weird items that you're making marks with. What are those that you're using? You can tag us or send us a picture. You can tag us on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, or you can even email us your pictures of what you've been doing and what items you use to make marks. That's kind of cool. Oops. That's okay though, no problem. Okay, and try another one. I'm just using the front edge of this clip to make these little dash marks. Put a big space between them. They're kind of reminding me of like animal tracks you can see when you maybe go on a hike or maybe in your backyard, depending on where you live. These repeated patterns that show up in nature and show up when we're out in the world. All of my other pages are really full, so I think I'm just going to leave this one kind of open like this. It just has a couple of tracks going through it. Maybe, let's see. Oh, I got 2 of those. Maybe this time I'll use the side of the clothespin and see what I get. Almost looks like a flower stem when you turn it this way. The stem and the leaf. Try a different side on this one. I always find it so interesting how many materials that I don't realize are materials in my house or wherever I am. If I'm, out in the world, things that you wouldn't usually associate as an art material, like this clip or this plastic fork, and how you can really use anything to make art and be creative, and how creativity is really being flexible in how you look at things, much more than whether or not I can draw an apple just like it looks in real life. These are kind of just becoming different things with the paint starting to get on it. That's okay. Okay. Oh, got a big piece of paint on that one. That's what happens when you work with older paint. Sometimes it'll clump up on you. I think that'll make a cool, kind of a cool image. How's everybody doing? Have y'all gone through a lot of your stuff? Are you still creating? Now I'm going to take as my base, I have some plain envelopes that I found around the house that don't have cards that go with them. And so I'm going to make some marks just on the fold side. To maybe send to a friend. And since these are white envelopes, I'm going to use a color on them, a blue color. And let's see. I think I'm just going to use the end of the spoon and see what happens. Not super excited about that one. So I'm gonna go back to my paintbrush. Just make some lines again. So that's kind of a fun thing you can do with it. And when these dry, you can always go back and put more on top of something, or you can cut them up. It's really just about what you want to do. And so I just want to take this time to let you guys know that this free craft and creative hour hosted by Deuxieme Vie Creative is something that we've been doing every Saturday at 10 a.m. And as of right now, we plan on continuing that. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram at 2EV Creative so you can see what kind of craft we'll be hosting next week. You can also send us any ideas you have or things that you want to try out for those upcoming community craft hours. That's awesome. We love to hear from you and hear what gets you excited about being creative and making different art. We are selling materials through our online store at 2EV Creative, but it's .org, like organization. And you can order materials through us and curbside pickup. We have craft kits available that are really fun. I think there's a macrame kit. There's a weaving necklace kit that's so cool. There's a unicorn dream catcher kit on there too. And I think there's definitely more than that. I'm missing something. But go on the website and check it out. It's super fun stuff that you can do at home, or you and your friends can get them and you can do them together through Zoom or online. Y'all both are doing your own kits, but you do them together. And that's a really fun thing that you can do to stay connected. Also, we love to see your creations, so make sure you tag us with what you make if you are comfortable with that. And we are a nonprofit, so if you're feeling like it, we're always accepting donations, and you can donate at the website, which is 2evcreative.org, or you can donate to our Venmo, which is Deuxieme Vie Creative, and that is all one word.